because in the Reddit SC Open, we had some drama there. Upper right-hand corner, we have Duckload, a.k.a. White Raw, as the red Protoss, giving the good luck. Bottom left-hand corner, we have Root Minigun as the blue Protoss, again, on Xel'Naga Caverns. But yeah, again, you had Minigun, who was playing for D2JSP against the Reddit Open, and I know that there was a ton of trash-talking that happened there. So this almost feels like the Idra invite from Minigun in this tournament, but he does deserve to be here. He is a very formidable player.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's had tremendous success, and I'm shocked and awed to hear there was some smack talk going on in a competitive internet-based gaming platform. That's really, really weird to me. Usually everyone's so jovial and kind.
So jovial and kind. Well, I have a moment as the game is basically going. Doesn't look like we're seeing any sort of proximity PvP early. I want to make a quick announcement. We're going to have a raffle for MLG headsets, AC30s, I believe they're called, tomorrow during either the quarterfinals or finals. And also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors. Astro Gaming is actually doing the headset raffle. Zen Magnets, New Games Ninja, HangWith.me, which I think is a site that's directly out of the Reddit community, as well as all the people that donated directly out of the Reddit community. Jay Grindle, T. Purvis, Spartan, which I think it's EDK or ERK, Salt Oil Master, or sorry, Salt Oil MSG, C-Gnome, who's actually one of the crew as well. And you also have Cisterns. So special thanks to everybody who made this possible. Absolutely huge cast. So right off the bat, we have Minigun just going gateway into a simulator. Looks like we're seeing the identical build on the opposite side from White Raw. Both players actually scouting opposite each other. Just kind of interesting pattern there from Minigun. He actually went for then tapped the Xel'Naga Watchtower, saw White Raw's probe going across the north. And that kind of, going through the goal expansion first. Both players playing basically dead even here. It looks like White Raw just ahead a single harvester for just a half second here. What are your thoughts on that?
One of the important things to look for in a PvP is gateway timing. And if you check out both their gateways, they actually sync up quite nicely. So there's not like a 10 gate versus a 14 gate, which then results in like a faster warp gate upgrade or something like that that can kind of give the early advantage to one player versus the other. It looks like they're both just kind of going straight macro. We do have the first diversification going on in the builds. White Raw has thrown down that second gas, and Minigun is aware of it and not taking his own. So oftentimes what that indicates is usually like a 1-gate expand or even like a 4-gate opening, which is pretty typical in this matchup.
It also looks like White Raw not building an initial Zealot while we have Minigun building that first Zealot. What are your thoughts on Zealots on this map? I feel like it's pretty wide, so I don't know. I don't feel like the Zealot is necessarily the best unit to start off with early. I feel like it's one of those things you can skip. Looks like White Raw has gone straight into Sentry production.
Well, the Zealot kind of represents one of those units you can start before the Cybernetics Core finishes and you get the more important Stalker or Sentry out. And the thought process is just that extra guy, basically. So if they're looking to warp in or scout longer, the Zealot will kind of minimize the effect of both of those things. It's not really like a, oh my god, I got a Zealot, now I'm totally badass. It's more like a, I can have it and I probably should, just to deter from the kind of builds you can have if I don't.
Interestingly enough, 2 additional gateways from Minigun. Looks like he's got has just been absolutely tapping the Warp Gate upgrade with that Chrono Boost. Looks like White Raw is basically doing the same, but he's actually Chrono Boosting some sentries out in the front door, also adding on 2 gateways. So going a little bit more defensive with those sentries and getting that gas, which leads him to believe he's going to go for some sort of tech follow-up. In the meantime, Minigun is going to have to take the aggressive posture, actually going up to 4 gateways now with an additional pylon.
Yeah, and it looks like White Raw, or DuckloadRa, if we want to give some props to his sponsors, is actually doing like a defensive 3/4 gate, and that's quite strong. He's got the double gas, and he has that early sentry, so he's going to be able to force field this ramp. However, Minigun is moving up with more units. It's going to come down to this force field, and he goes up in time. So it's just this Zealot left inside DuckloadRa's base, but there are a lot of units down there for Minigun, and there's that proxy pylon. He's going to be able to warp in pretty soon. So the situation is deteriorating for White Raw unless he can get the right number of units right now. It looks like he will.
Looks like, yeah, he's going to, just in the nick of time, get several units. That just shows you how amazing White Raw is. It's still going to be quite a fight on the ground, but he has more sentries to just split this army in half. Again, going to be able to pick off that front Zealot. So Minigun just sitting on the outside behind just that wall, and it looks like White Raw should be able to get additional troops out to defend this front door. So it looks like his defense will hold. Wow, he's just done a fantastic job of picking off Zealots one at a time, and it just feels like those Zealots are just being thrown away as they're running up the ramp.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job holding this ramp. And for those of you at home tired of those 4 gates, kind of look at what White Raw's doing. You open up with a slower gateway count, but the stronger defense. And if you look at Minigun's base, he's actually only just now adding a second gas and a robo and additional probes because he's kind of realizing maybe the 4 gate's not going to work here. So he's actually going to have to shift away from his opening strategy. And White Raw, on the other hand, has that stronger economy. If you pull down the income tab, he is ahead 4 harvesters, and he does have a higher sentry base, which kind of allows for that flexibility in the mid and late game.
It looks like he was thinking about attack for a second, actually popped one of his defensive shields there on the sentries, but did not in fact engage. Minigun actually could get run over here, starting to try to pick off Zealots on the front door, and doing a good job. But yeah, behind on the Harvester account, got a little bit of an earlier robo, but I still feel like White Raw's in a fantastic position comparatively.
Yep, and you know what? One of the fun little exchanges between 2 Protoss players here is they're like, they got this ramp between the 2 of them, but they both have sentries, so neither one of them want to go down that ramp because it can become a pretty hairy situation fairly fast. So it looks like White Raw is going to be pretty satisfied with just going ahead and going with that War Prism, which is actually an unusual opening on that robo. Usually you see an Observer or even just an Immortal for the rundown, but I like this play. And you can actually see some moving Zealots over. It looks like it's going to be a quite, like a harass type technique, and I really like what I'm seeing from him.
This is a genius strategy from White Raw. It looks like he's going to just load up 4 Zealots. He knows he has a ton of sentries to defend his front door ramp. He knows that Colossus is going to be way away, and initially what you're going to see is this, even if the Colossus does come out, Minigun's probably just going to move it directly out towards the front door. It's going to take a long way to get there. But in the meantime, he's not going to have a lot of defenses at his front because Minigun, just look at the majority of his troops just staged right there. It looks like a secondary pylon actually in the middle of the map here. And just a handful of Zealots, at the very least, it's going to create chaos in Minigun's base, which is going to give White Raw some opportunity to basically build his economy and get it rolling. In the meantime, White Raw is going to have just a brutal attack force on his front. He's going to have a Colossus in position much faster, and he's going to be in a fantastic position to basically take a huge advantage in this map.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're able to get into the Harvester line of your opponent in a mirror matchup, it's huge. So that Colossus is going to be out. It's going to reduce the effect of this. But here we go. White Raw is in the mineral line. Minigun doesn't seem to be aware of it just yet. Zealots being dropped down. 3 or 4 probes have gone down, instantly warping in more. And that Colossus with those Zealots is here to clear up. So it's not a good fight for White Raw. However, he does have position, and it looks like... Nope, okay, he wasn't targeting Harvesters. But again, look at all this mining time going to waste. So 3 or 4 probes down. And this, oh my god, I missed the entire attack at the ramp. Did he lose his whole army?
No, he actually retreated the majority of it, so don't worry about it. He just took out the pylon. Now White Raw has opened up. And I love this is really where this pylon might be key, because White Raw is moving out of position, assuming there's no additional position that Minigun can really establish on him. It looks like White Raw is actually using basically this Warp Prism as a mobile kind of warping thing, and it looks like he's loading up with another drop, so just taking map control while he expands in the meantime. And this is some beautiful play, actually. I haven't seen this out of any Protoss players thus far. There is a single Zealot that's warped in. It's going to run forward off that forward pylon. It might be able to get some damage, but it's running headlong into a Colossus, so not very likely. But yeah, everyone take note. This is fantastic play from White Raw.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally scouting between the 2 towers. He's loaded up for a 2-prong attack. He's literally all over the place. He's spending his money fairly well. White Raw is one of those pinnacle Protosses where it's like, you know what, I'm not winning very much lately. Who do I look to inspiration? It's got to be a guy like White Raw. The guy plays so solid and so intuitively that it's really fun to watch, but it's also a really good source of ideas for your own gameplay.
It looks like White Raw is taking a little bit of an army count lead. However, somehow Minigun out of nowhere has a lead with probes, and maybe it was just all chrono boost there while you're seeing a huge amount of chrono boost in the background from White Raw. I'm not sure what the cause of that is, but White Raw now going in with another attack. You've got a drop around the rear as well as a forward attack, and I don't think that Minigun's going to be able to deal with this both directions. Trying to retreat back into his main. On the front door. Beautiful sentry on the ramp to block out half that army. So he's not even going to be able to get back to defend, and White Raw just really, wow, that was some beautiful play. He's going to continue to attack forward, getting Minigun completely caught out of position. The probes are running directly into the battle, and Minigun is really just all over the place. The probes just sitting there and getting fried by Colossus beams. The Zealots just marching up. All 3 Colossi taken out. 2 of White Raw's Colossi still stand, and there's GG.